Uh, on Thursday, that is, and June 6, 2024, approximately 13:30 hours, Makeni Police Station received a tip-off from a concerned member of the public, a 62, residing in George compound. The passerby reported discovering a dead body along the 7070 road near Makeni Seedlings Limited. The body had a cut on the stomach and protruding intestines, and it was suspected that the individual had been dumped there the previous night as the body was still fresh. Now, this just happens to be, the body just happens to be a Yango driver who was found dead. Aaron Katongo went missing on Wednesday, June 5th, 2024. Joining us this morning is Charles Kaila, who is the Online Taxi Drivers Association Country Coordinator, to help us speak into this situation. I know it's a very sad and somber mood amongst the drivers. As you walked into the studio, you did highlight that the drivers are mourning the death of a colleague. But how did the association overall receive this news?
The association has received this news with a lot of sadness, and we are mourning, and we are full of pain as the drivers. And even by coming here, it was just by the grace of God. Otherwise, the mood of the online drivers right now is really, really sad. We are trying to bring all our drivers together and see the way forward. Otherwise, we received the news with sadness, which has brought a lot of fear to the life of a taxi driver, especially the online taxi drivers. They are working in fear right now due to a number of deaths that have been recorded so far.
And speaking of number of deaths, how often do you as an association get to hear this? Obviously, there's some that may elude the media. We probably don't hear some of these. How often do you hear of deaths that are resulting from people in work?
We have been hearing about these deaths actually very, very often. There's some of the attacks that we've not even that have not been reported to the media. There have been a lot of attacks in Chainda compound, George compound, and these other areas. Otherwise, a lot of people have died. What we are seeing on social media, that's the reality. That's what the association and the drivers are facing on the ground. It's not just, those are not just mere stories, but those are a reality. Those are the painful things that the drivers are going through right now.
Let's dissect some of the steps that have led to something like this, or that lead to some of these deaths. Obviously, we understand there are people out there who are doing these things out of criminality and the like. But do you feel there is something greater at play here in terms of how these drivers can be protected as far as them doing their job is concerned? Because I would like to assume something like this doesn't naturally just happen to ordinary drivers or any other ordinary drivers away from people who are working in this sort of business.
Yeah, there's a way a driver can avoid these incidents as of now. But though it's very, very difficult, because a driver is working under critical conditions of services right now. The drivers, they're subjected to working too long hours because of the low fares that are on these online platforms. So most of the drivers are given high cashing from their bosses, the car owners. So which forces the driver, whether they like it or not, they are forced now to work day and night to reach their daily target. So the major factor which has caused to all these killings that we are seeing today is because most of our drivers are vulnerable, and because of the high levels of poverty in our country right now, most of our drivers are now being forced to work day and night just to meet their daily target. So they're being subjected to these critical bad working condition of service, which we have submitted to the Ministry of Transport. We have also submitted these things to the car-hailing companies to say, let the fares of the taxi, the online taxi, be reasonable, and of which we have not received any feedback. And right now, we're in a mood where we cannot handle it. We are in pain. Even as the leader of the association, or the leader of this online business, we are really sad and we are really disappointed. If you see how drivers are suffering, you see how drivers are complaining in these online platforms or in these WhatsApp groups. You join one of the WhatsApp groups of the drivers, you see the lamentation is just too much.
Now, we'll get back to the conversation around policy of the online car hailing service, because we've spoken about this a couple of times. But I want to understand, this business, the applications that are used, I'm of the view that there is ways in which the owners of the application can track and also be able to see what's going on with every trip. And I'm made to believe that strategy, or that to itself, helps to deter stuff like this. Is there anything else that is on the application that can help in ensuring the safety of drivers? And if there is, does that help in ensuring that there isn't situations like this?
Frankly speaking, there's I would say there's no any security measures that have been put on these online apps, because if there were security measures that were put on these online apps, we're not going to have these killings that we are having now. When online was first introduced in Zambia, I think a lot of people with criminal-minded, who are criminal-minded, had a lot of fear, because then there were a lot of there were a lot of measures that were put in place. Like, for instance, if the client wants to get on the online app, they had to put their true identities on the app, together with the driver. The driver by then was allowed to do the police fingerprint clearance, which is not done today. People can register with different names, with fake names, especially on the end of the client. It's actually risking the driver. So far, there's like on one of the online apps, there's a button. There's some buttons which they're put, and that's the only security measure they are claiming to have given the driver, where if a driver is in danger, he has to place that button. But those things are not working, because these car-hailing companies, they have not provided security for the driver. Even if you press that button, who is going to respond? Who is going to come to your aid? So all those things have been put on those apps just to deceive the society. Otherwise, there are no any security measures that have been put for the driver. It's just deception. People just want to make money over the heads of the poor drivers, and that is the reason we are seeing these poor drivers dying on a daily basis, because there are no security measures. Honestly speaking, if there were security measures that were truly put on the platform, are you telling me people are going to be dying like chickens, like they are dying now? Definitely no. So let not these car-hailing companies start deceiving the community or the nation that there are some security measures that are put for the driver. There is nothing.
Now,
there's literally nothing.
Mr. Kayla, as we conclude on our conversation, I understand that there's a message that you have directed to the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, and that is a plea. I understand also that this message itself has not been sent out yet, and you preferred to use a broadcast channel to do so. You may go ahead.
Thank you for this opportunity, and this is the letter that the drivers, the online taxi drivers, are sending to the President, and thank you for according me this opportunity. The letter reads, "Dear Mr. President Hakainde Hichilema, online taxi drivers are deeply concerned about our safety. The recent brutal murders within our industry have caused immense grief and fear. We urge you to take immediate action to address this critical issue. We understand the gravity of the situation and believe stronger measures are necessary. We kindly request that you consider all possible solutions, including a potential change in leadership within the Ministry of Transport. Taxi drivers are valuable members of society, and we deserve to work in a safe environment. We implore you to take decisive steps to protect us from further violence. Sincerely, online taxi drivers of Zambia. Thank you. This is the message that is coming directly from the online taxi drivers as they are mourning our dear brother, not only our dear brother, but even the rest of the people that have been murdered on these online apps.
Now, the final thing, that's obviously addressed to the President of the Republic of Zambia, but what further address do you have for your association members and others that may not even be association members but are operating in this business? Because until something is done, there's obviously some safety measures that they themselves need to take up. What are you as an association employing these individuals to do in the meantime for them to protect themselves and the people that they love?
Yeah, my plea to my fellow drivers out there, as your leader from the Online Taxi Drivers Association of Zambia, even though you are working under critical conditions right now, even though you are mourning and there's no one to defend you out there, there's no one to speak for you out there, I strongly urge you, my brothers and sisters who are working tirelessly day and night just to earn a living, I urge you, my brothers and sisters, to be extra careful as you work, and above all, avoid to work at night, because you know that you've been neglected by your own leaders, your own people that you voted for. As at now, the only way to protect yourselves from these criminal-minded people who book us on these cheap rides is just to stay safe. It's just to make sure that you avoid picking more than 2 people on, especially in the night, and avoid to go to those danger zones, especially the hotspots for crime. And we still need you alive, and we still need you to work and earn a living for your family. Thank you so much, my dear drivers.
Charles Kaila there is the Online Taxi Drivers Association country coordinator, speaking into the death of a younger driver that went missing and was found dead gruesomely. That is, as far as more information that will be coming in is concerned. Thank you so much for joining us, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you so much for inviting us, and thank you to Diamond Crew for always giving us this platform as an association. We really appreciate you.
More to come on the Diamond Breakfast this morning. We're having Mr. Miuna Makuni, who is the Director of Communication, Ministry of Science and Technology, and we'll be speaking into a lot more on this edition of the Diamond Breakfast. The Ministry has broken ground for the construction of Zambia's first polytechnic. Do stick around. We've got more on the show as we take this quick break.